Hello, welcome to Republic once again. You know, we've been wanting to do a series of interviews with people who often comment on the news. You see them on my programs as the people who illuminate the panel with their knowledge. And one such person who I truly admire, because he's not just a great Hindu scholar, he's very forthright. And he doesn't hesitate from putting out his political views. And on most occasions than not, I must confess, I like him because he agrees with my views and I agree with his. But we are not a mutual admiration society. I am very, very fond of and proud of Dushyant Sridhar, who has I'm grateful that you came to my studios today. He's come to our studios and he's come on a very auspicious day, a few days after he's released this book, viewers, which I'm going to be reading. It's Rāmāyaṇam, Volume 1, by the one and only great Hindu scholar, Dushyant Sridhar. Namaskar. And Dushyant, namaskar. Thank you for coming. And I must say, that is wonderful surrogate advertising around your neck. What are you wearing, Dushyant?
Yeah, that's the front cover of my book.
That's the front cover of your book, which means you're really into the book.
Very much.
When I spoke to you, and you said that you wanted to spread the word about this book, it seemed you was totally into it, and you sent me a voice message which was very detailed. People write books as authors. It doesn't appear to me you're writing the book as an author only here. Am I correct?
Yes, I am an author in a way, but at the same time, Arnab, I am a devotee of Valmiki Maharishi, who has documented, chronicled, and presented Rama's biography as is. It isn't a myth. It is history for us. True Astikas in Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism in Bharatadesham believe that Rāmāyaṇam is history. And what Valmiki has documented is history. And what I have tried presenting through Valmiki's eyes is also history.
So you have, let me ask you about your method first of writing the book, your source material, your inspirations, your illustrations, etc. So can you tell me the method and the way in which you divided the book? Because, and how have you divided the various stories that you enumerate? You have a total of 108 stories in the book.
Yeah. So Valmiki has taken the efforts to give us the biography of Rama, and he taught them to the sons of Rama called Lava and Kusha, and they presented to Rama, and that has been accepted or ratified by Rama. So that is Valmiki's original text of close to 24,000 verses in 7 cantos. We call it Kandams, Bala Kandam to Uttara Kandam. And Arnab, there have been a plethora of people who have written before. My namaskarams to all of them, like say Rajaji, Kamala Subramaniam, R.K. Narayan, and many modern retellings. But what happens is, to a generic reader, to a normal reader, if they read Ramayana, they may have a lot of questions. Where, when, why, how. So all these questions have been answered by a lot of commentators, 6 commentators in Sanskritam in the last 1,000 years. So those teachings have been interspersed and embroidered into my writing in such a way that it doesn't seem like a research book. It is like a normal novel book, a novel that is being read. So that has gone into the book. Inspirations have been drawn from the other Bharatiya versions like Kamban's Rāmāyaṇam, Ezhuthachan's Rāmāyaṇam in Malayalam, Tulsidas's Rāmāyaṇam in Avadhi, Jagan Mohan's Rāmāyaṇam in Odia, Krittibasa's in Bengali. So many Rāmāyaṇams have also inspired this work. Besides, there is a small dash of accepted, legitimate creativity in this book, so that I stitch the loose ends, and illustrations have been done for every chapter by Keshav, the famed cartoonist for over 40 years. And then we have also taken illustrations of artifacts and sculptures which are related to the Rāmāyaṇam the last 2,000 years from various dynasties.
When you said when, etc., when is this period? I mean, if you're saying that this is a historical fact, it's a biography, it's a historical treatise in a way, the Rāmāyaṇam. What is the answer to when? When was this all happening?
One version of the Puranas speaks about 432,000 years of Kali Yuga. Twice is Dvaparam, thrice is Treta, 4 times is Krita. So 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 10 into 432,000 years, which is 43,20,000 years is one Chatur Yugam. And we believe we are in Kali Yugam, and 2 Yugams before, which is in Treta, this must have happened. But when we look at the date, looking at the astronomical details given in it, a research scholar whom I respect a lot, Jayashree, and I together sat down and we kind of landed at about 5,114 BCE, roughly 7,000 plus years before. That is also taking into corroborated evidence. So we have arrived at that time period. So 2000 years before roughly before the Mahabharatam, and 7000 years before from now. So 5000 years is Mahabharatam before, and 7000 is Ramayanam is what we spotted. But we also respect the numbers given in the Puranas. So it is true that it is history. The numbers may go +5, -5 this way, that way, but the geographical details, the astronomical details given by Valmiki is astounding and very, very helpful for us to even be a cartographer looking at the map.
So for young people seeking their roots, is this a good book to read?
Absolutely. 10 plus. I don't know, children mature very young these days, so I wouldn't even put the number 10. But 10 plus years, there's no upper limit.
But I use the word roots. I didn't say religion alone. So is reading this book essential for every Indian searching for their roots?
Absolutely, absolutely. Even our devout Christian or Muslim friends, 10, 20 generations before, their ancestors must have had links with the Bharatiya civilization. They should also read the Ramayanam to understand what are the do's and don'ts of a human being. It is not about religion at all. Yes, it belongs to the Hindu religion. There's no doubt that Ramayanam is a very respected scripture. But at the same time, what's the harm? Because, you know, in 1980s and 90s, we have seen people across religions watching Ramayana and Mahabharata serials. So why should they not read this book as well? So everybody.
We've been through, I think, you know, in my own lifetime, I see that there was a period when through television, people's interest in Ramayana went up. And then it came down also. I mean, I thought that the early 2000s till the mid 2010s was a period when we sort of lost touch, when Hinduism was not seen to be, if I may use a very generic word, cool. Religion was not seen to be cool, moving away from religion, individualism, you know, focus on the individual, and everything with religion was seen to be archaic. Do you agree with that view? And do you see that change a wee bit now?
Yeah, so there should have been a small lull. I do agree with that. But as a speaker who gives discourses called pravachanams in both my mother tongue Tamil and in English, not just in India, across the other countries as well, day in and day out, I give 250 lectures a year. I see a live audience. I see that the age group between like 15, 20 to 50 years, there is a surge in that. So I see that that curve right.
The young Indian is interested?
Absolutely. See,
why is that?
That's one I can attribute it to some extent to the Honorable Prime Minister of India, because in the last 10 years we have seen that there's no harm in celebrating your civilization. Just because you celebrate your civilization, it doesn't mean you're demeaning the other religion or civilization.
Why do you credit the Prime Minister for it?
Because, see, as a head of the country, it was deemed sometime in the past to not be a part of religious functions, anything to do with Ramayana or Mahabharata, but he sports those symbols on his forehead. He goes one temple after the other, not foregoing his duty. He does dispense or disseminate his duties and knowledge very well. At the same time, he does go to inaugurate corridors and temples that have lost sheen in the past. So that's one thing. And second thing, Arnab, it's also because of the internet and the social media, people feel 10 seconds may I can see a beautiful temple. Why should I not visit the temple and know more? So there's no more. Jignasa is always there in the people, and there is a search.
Because there are a lot of people on the media, and you're very active on digital media, who are working more against Hinduism rather than for it. Would you agree with that view? More people who sort of try and associate Hinduism with militancy, with violence, with archaic views, with casteism particularly. Are there more people doing that job? As compared to those who are on your side, on our side?
Yeah, so looking at certain videos, I do feel that there is a bias, there is a prejudice. Either it comes from very little understanding of the religion, misinterpretation of verses, or probably they could be funded or paid. I don't know. Because when you look at the videos, it doesn't seem like a natural outpour. It feels as if there's something taught and said. But all that said, there is also a positive aspect, Arnab. As long as you keep having such narratives, people like us will keep working hard to break those narratives.
You're very provocative also. Why did you do the book launch in Chennai? Which is interesting because, by the way, do you know Udayanithi Stalin got bail today?
Yeah.
Are you happy about it?
See, more than being happy or not happy, or not, as a party person of DMK, I wouldn't expect anything different from him. But as a sworn-in minister, he should have been more careful. And I would rather put it this way: when you're a chief minister, you're a prime minister, rather you're a minister itself, you treat everyone equally. You
think he doesn't?
See, otherwise, why would you say eradicate, annihilate, cholera, encephalopathy? What is all this? These are in the words that you expect from a minister.
It comes out of deep hatred, antipathy.
But that shouldn't be the deep hatred, because the respected wife of the chief minister, Srimati Durga Stalin, does go temple after temple. So it's not that he doesn't see the culture in his house. He sees
what's happening in Tamil Nadu vis-a-vis Sanatan Dharma. You know, it is the state. I remember as a child when I went, when I was told by my father that and my mother that we'll go around the south, and the primary reason we went was to go deeper into our Hindu culture.
Very true.
I remember I started with Guruvayappam, went right up through Tamil Nadu. So I remember a state with the maximum temples, and in fact I'm told the maximum number of villages with the Lord Ram in name Ram in them. But now we've seen so much, or is it only in the public discourse that we read, you know, anti-Ram, anti-Sanatan propaganda? Was it a conscious decision, therefore, to release this book from Chennai?
Though I was largely born and raised in Bangalore,
sure.
Chennai has been a karma bhumi for me. So I give a lot of discourses, dance productions, heritage tours, all based in Tamil Nadu. So that is like a very state, very close to my heart. That's one reason. And second reason, you did bring up this, that there are plenty of temples, true. The maximum number of domestic and international tourists to Bharatadesham comes to Tamil Nadu. And 85% of the tourists visit those temples constructed by the Pallavas, Cholas, Pandyas, Vijayanagaras, Nayakas. And 80% plus of the state population is Hindu. And it's a huge surge in the attending astikas coming to temples. So there's no doubt, the generic public of Tamil Nadu is very, very devout. And you were talking about the villages. Arnab, the very popular chief minister of Tamil Nadu was called M.G. Ramachandran. His wife was Janaki. Jayalalitha was going temple after temple. She was extremely devout. I can tell you, I gave a show for Jaya TV in the year 2012, and my show was repeated. I got a call at 2 a.m. in the morning stating, "Ma'am wants to see the program again."
Wow.
On Narasimhavataram. So they played it again. So, and Karunanidhi, the name Karunanidhi signifies Rama's name. Karunanidhi Ilalo, because Rama is treated as a treasure trove of compassion. And the ideologue of Dravidian movement, Periyar, was called Ramaswamy. So Ramaswamy, Ramachandran, Janaki, Jayalalitha, Karunanidhi. Where is atheism here? So I feel even the politician names are related to Rama. Forget the village names. Forget the temples. So this is the temple. Bhagavatam says, Utpanna Dravide Saham. Bhakti was born in Tamil Nadu, says Bhagavata Mahapurana. And the Arvas have done a yeoman service. Ramanujacharya, Vedanta Deshika, what intellectuals we had in Sanatana Dharma. Yes, the obnoxious statements of a few political leaders may give an impression that the state is atheist. Absolutely not. There's complete bhakti.
What about the people? What about the people?
Again, based on the voting pattern, we cannot determine. They are all very, very devout. Maybe, you know, this 8,500, khatakat, fatafat and all of that may induce a certain set of people. So things have to change. We have one nice person coming up called Arnab. So, you know, it does take time, but we do see a promise in certain set of politicians in Tamil Nadu. Though it may take time, a lot of people are hoping to see the change.
You think that will happen? You see, I think that what's happening here, Dushyant, is that people are associating the rise of interest in the Hindu religion with the BJP, with the rise of the BJP. And hence, does that pose a threat?
For example, Rajaji wrote the Rāmāyaṇam many decades before me. I don't think he belonged to the BJP. So
but that was a different time. There was no BJP then.
Exactly. So because a lot of the leaders with the nationalist, with the religious mindset, with the civilizational ethos, lived in other parties as well. Now that is kind of converging in BJP. But I would say if parties believe that they too have respect for civilizational ethos, they should go to the Ram temple, they should read the Ramayana, burning the copy of Ramayana. All this doesn't serve anybody's purpose.
Yeah, so, you know, why do you think that following Sanatan traditions, therefore, just to go deeper into that question, is instantly equivocated with polarization in India? This does not happen elsewhere. But it happens uniquely in India. You know, when the Prime Minister visits the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, for example, for meditation, he's communal. When he visits the Ram temple, he's communal. So when the Prime Minister meets the Pope recently, you saw the kind of comments that came out of that. So I feel somewhere there's a very concerted effort among a section of academia who are used probably by political parties, or maybe who use political parties in turn, and they want to permanently picture Hinduism in a certain light. They don't want Hinduism to be seen to be the source of a great civilization. They want to present Hinduism in a completely different way.
That's also because, Arnab, their understanding of the Hinduism itself as a civilization, as a religion, is absolutely minimal. It is in the minus. So their
very colonial, I think. In fact.
Yeah, very, very colonial.
For example, when someone like Christophe Jaffrelot talks about caste,
yeah,
you know, then I studied anthropology. I keep saying that Louis Dumont, for him, the entire basis of understanding Indian society was caste. Of understanding Hinduism was caste and purity and pollution. Very structured academic thinking, which is aimed at demeaning a religion. My thesis is, and I'd really like your more informed take on this, and I've always wanted to ask a scholar like you of Hinduism. I studied social anthropology, Dushyant, and I found it, the colonial interpretation of social anthropology, very insulting to my religion, because I could not identify the deep thoughts. I mean, I'm no Hindu scholar, but the deep intellectual core of Hinduism, I could not relate that to what Hinduism was presented to me when I studied it in India and abroad, which is that purely based on caste and hierarchy and social stratification and injustice and purity and pollution.
Very true.
That is how it was presented to me.
Very true.
That is somewhere ingrained in the minds of Western academia. Now, it's Christophe Jaffrelots and all these Louis Dumonts on one side, and people like you on the other. How are we going to balance things out? How will we put the right picture out about Hinduism, not just in India and abroad? Slightly long question, and a greater responsibility on people like you, Dushyant, since you're young, you're English speaking, to also take this globally.
Yes or no? See, for example, when I'll just make this very brief with regards to caste. See, Rama is a Kshatriya. He kills a Brahmana called Ravana. So I don't think anywhere does the Varna of a Vaishya or a Shudra come into picture. It is a Brahmana who's being killed by a Kshatriya.
But that's occupation.
To a large extent, there is some extent to birth because he was a son of a Brahmana, but at the same time, we also deal with what I'm trying to say is they shouldn't picturize the book as a Brahmanical hegemony because a Brahmana is being killed by a Kshatriya, written by Valmiki, who was earlier a dacoit, and then because of Narada's grace became a writer. So there's, and Guha, a boatsman, a Nishadanam Neta, Kapikulapatihi, Kapishavari. That Guha is the most Atma Samassakha. Rama says there's no greater friend than you, Guha. And Shabari, she lives in the forest. Nishadanam Neta, Kapikulapatihi, Kapishavari. She was addressless. Rama goes to her hermitage and accepts her fruits. He seeks friendship with Hanuman and Sugriva, who were of Vanara Jati. So Ramayana in a way signifies what the society was in those days. So vis-a-vis the projection what the West makes of it. That's also because either they would have had an agenda, or they were deficient in the language in which the book was rendered, so they came up with misinterpretations or wrong translations.
100% agenda.
So that's how these scholars too follow that. So Ramayanam is a beautiful picture of how the society was in those days or not.
But do you think today there is a nexus of a lobby that supports Sanatan baiters, a nexus of NGOs, academics, who have sort of monopolized their authority over what is popular culture, what is popular discourse. And what happens is that since these are the people who hold academic positions, see Dushyant, when an academic writes a book as opposed to when a Dushyant Sridhar writes a book, an academic writes a book in an academic way. So that gets footnoted, appendicized, you know, it goes through that quote-unquote university rigor. And I read somewhere that artificial intelligence picks up things that can be quoted, sourced, etc. in a certain way, and that forms a certain circle of opinion. Okay. And that circle of opinion becomes self-perpetuating.
Correct.
So if there are 5 people who academically say Dushyant Sridhar is right-wing communal fanatic, And if you can get 5 Christoph Jaffrelotz to write that, then it becomes part of an enduring academic legacy, and hence that gets perpetuated in discourse as well. I'm asking you, how do you fight that?
I have 300 footnotes on this in this book. Besides being a retelling of Valmiki's Ramayana, 300 footnotes, of which 30 are from copperplate inscriptions which are 1,000 years old. There are 60 plus illustrations right in the last 2,000 years of Gupta dynasty till the Nayaka dynasty. So just to say that this is I'm building a fictional understanding of the Ramayanam. So all these are footnoted, have been corroborated, ratified. See, the point is, Arnab, whether I'm called right or left is not the problem. I'm saying Ramayana is right. It isn't myth. It is history. It is right. So that's the point I'm trying to prove. When people come for debates, they should be able to quote the verses from the Ramayanam. They cannot just say that I read somewhere in the Wiki Purana, I read somewhere in... that doesn't work. You quote the source. You quote that particular verse. If someone asks you, what Sumitra told Lakshmana, I should say Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. That's how we have been trained. We have not been trained to read the English translations which say, oh Lakshmana, the lotus-petaled one, comma, semicolon. No. We know the verse, we quote. So it's just like chemistry. When you deal with Mendeleev's table, you deal with Kotler in marketing, same is the case with, there's a very academic approach, and if there are historians of the past who have written a different version of Ramayanam and they wish to debate, I can openly invite them for a debate. So
Dushyant, finally, people would say that if you were to look at a very sort of 50s, 60s Congress version of what good and bad is in this country, then people would say that, well, Dushyant Sridhar is very well informed, he's very well read, he's very articulate, he's a great performer, a great speaker, but he's not tolerant, he's too aggressive, he's too argumentative, and that goes against the ethos of Hinduism. I like it personally, you know, and a lot of young people would like you, but I you know, when I saw that you refused to perform at the Madras Music Academy over your profound disagreement with the choice of the Sangeet, I think, Kalanidhi Award designate T.M. Krishna. You said that you were pained by his statements on Ayodhya, on Ram and Dharma. Now, question is, why would you have such a big argument over that kind of issue? I mean, you have on many, and to that, your critics would say, Hinduism is about tolerance, accept their point of view. Their disagreement and your acceptance of their disagreement is at the core of Hindu philosophy. So can I get your take on that?
Very quickly, Arnab, the Madras Music Academy is a place where I've performed many times. I have immense respect for it. Great stalwarts like M.S. Subbalakshmi, M.L. Vasantakumari have received this Sangeeta Kalanidhi Award. Great stalwarts, great bhaktas they were. So my problem is not either with the academy or with the award. My only disagreement was with the award being given. I'm no musician. I'm a performing speaker. I intersperse music, that's all. But the point here, point of contention was, we as speakers or musicians make a livelihood, whatever we charge, based on the kritis sung by Tyagaraja, who had immense devotion for Rama. When I sing their composition with not a penny going for their samadhis or museums, and I make a livelihood out of it, and the next day I choose to sing on Periyar, who hung a chappal mala around Rama, neither can I perform, nor can I stand on the same stage as him. I wouldn't abuse the musician because he'll be really talented. But for me, it is a question of moral travesty. When you make a livelihood out of singing praises about Rama, your family runs the money out of it. You cannot speak about or sing about a person who abused Rama. He had obnoxious statements. Periyar's statements were so high, even Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in a letter called him a lunatic. So I think at least the Congress people should respect Nehru for his words. So I wouldn't want to perform on such a stage, and if I'm losing money, I'm losing an opportunity, so be it. I have other avenues to get it.
Well, fantastic. Well, I like your attitude. And though there's been limited time on this, I hope I have another conversation with you when you come up with your second volume and your third volume after that. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll plug this again. It's a HarperCollins book, Rāmāyaṇam, Volume 1. My weekend reading. You can make it yours as well. Dushyant, it's a pleasure to have you with a network which considers you very much one of its own.
Thank you. Thank you so much.